Good afternoon and good morning. Today we're going to be going over the last questions of our 3-day blitz. So once again, I would recommend for you to try the problems out. Last time I left you with problem 52, 53 to go ahead and do on Desmos and see if you got the answer right. So then once again, looking at 52, it is just a graph. You see the h of x. Once again, you don't have to worry about h of x. Leave h of x alone. So then all you have to do is input the x plus 1, close x minus 3. And then you got to look at the key features of the graph. I'm going to close parentheses. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my vertex. My vertex is 1, negative 4. My axis of symmetry, if I look at the vertex, it's 1, negative 4. So it is in the fourth quadrant. Automatically, this one is out. I look at this one is here, this one is here, this one is out. So that gives me a 50-50 chance to get it right. Now I have to look at my zeros. My zeros are 3, 0, and I have negative 1, 0. So next I look at my zeros, and the only one that has, this one has a 0 of 3, which is correct. This one also has a 0 of 3. But if you look at this one has a negative 1, 0, and this one has a negative 1, 0. So once again, you can't really tell much from the zeros, so they both are the same. Now I got to look at my vertex. If I look at my vertex is 1, negative 4. If I look at my vertex, this is 1, negative 2, so this one is wrong. If I look at my vertex here, my vertex is 1, negative 4, and that one is correct. So my answer choice is letter F. If I needed to move on, I could also find my x-intercept, or I could find my axis of symmetry being 1. So if you look at number 53, which expression is equivalent, you got to remember that equivalent does mean equal. So all I would do is input this one into Desmos and let Desmos do the work. So whatever you have here, and I don't have to do a table, all I have to do is do the square root of 50. And that's 7.07, and then I input every single one and see if I get lucky to get my first one, 2 square roots of 5. And that one is wrong. So I'm going to input my next one, and I like to delete, and I like to put in column number 2, 5 square roots of 2. That one is right. It's identical, it's equivalent, and the answer choice is letter B. If I look at 54 is an interesting one because they're asking you for the range. I don't have to use Desmos because they're asking you for range. Remember, the range is, wrong. They're asking you for domain. So the domain is the x here. So I'm looking for x being negative 4. Let's see if I can eliminate any one of them. Does this have a negative 4? It does. Does this have an x of negative 4 right here? It does not. Does this have a negative 4 right here? It does. And then, does my x have a negative 4? It does not. So, automatically I have letter B and I have letter C that both have negative 4. So, what am I looking for? I'm looking for the question at hand, domain of all real numbers less than negative 4. If I look at this one, my domain is my x, and it's got to be less than negative 4. Everything is less than negative 4, so the answer choice is C. If I look at this one, I look at it goes negative 4, and it is open because it doesn't have a nice little line underneath. It's actually bigger. If you look at the graph, it's going bigger. So this one is wrong. Remember, this is greater than, and I'm looking for a less than. So it's got to be that direction of negatives. So if you look at this one, which expression is equivalent? And we're looking for equivalent. I could do distributive property, but remember that I learned that I can also replace everything with x's and let Desmos do the work for us. And then you match your graph. So the way I would do this one, and let me just make sure it's recording. Okay, perfect. I would input everything into Desmos, let Desmos do the work, and check it using our distributive property method. So this will be 1.5, and I'm going to go ahead and go back because I need to delete. I would input it 1.5, open parentheses, for x minus 10x, close parentheses, minus 2.5, open parentheses, 8x positive 6x, close parentheses. And then I want to enlarge my graph. So I have my graph right there. If I look at it, it looks like we have a line. So let me see if I inputted everything correctly. I'm going to have to re-input because, again, sometimes I do make mistakes. Let me just 1.5, and then I'm going to open parentheses, 4x minus 10x, close parentheses, minus 2.5. And then I'm going to open parentheses, 8x, positive 6x, close parentheses, and I'm going to close it. So then I have my negative 2.5 and I have everything there. So sometimes you go like this on the graph. Okay, it changes it. It was probably correct. But anyway, you go like this and you can enlarge it so you can see better. And I want to make sure that I get the more solid points because if not, they all look the same. I got this graph, so I'm going to leave that alone. And let's see if any of these gives us the right answer. So then I'm going to go ahead and change everything to x's, and I'm going to go ahead and see if it gives us the right answer. Negative 12x, positive 14x. And automatically you know that this one is wrong because it doesn't match up. So then I'm going to go to the next one. I'm going to get rid of this one, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the next one, negative 26x. And again, it doesn't match up. So this is a wrong answer. Then I'm going to go to C, and I'm going to get rid of this one. And I'm going to go ahead and put negative 14x minus 30x. And it looks like we have a winner. So then I want to take off this one, and it's identical. Take off this one, and it is identical. So this is a correct answer, letter C. And if I wanted to do distributive property, I could, and this gives me the correct answer. If I look at 46, 46 is an interesting one because it says a quadratic function. It's graphed in P and Q, so they're giving you two graphs. The graph of P is what's transformed to create the Q. And this would be an identical reflection because it's being flipped over the x-axis right here. So this would be a reflection of x-axis. But the question at hand, which function best represents Q? So we're looking at this right here. So we're looking at that being our Q. So again, all I would do is input every single one and find out which one matches. So let me get my Desmos, and do remember on our STAAR, the Desmos will always reset for us after every single problem. So it is x minus 2. Close square. Let me make sure I inputted it correctly, and I did, and it looks this, but remember that this right here, it passes through the 2. This would be a wrong answer right here. So let me go ahead and exit it out, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the next one, and all I have to do is change this minus sign to a plus sign. And that one has a negative 2, and this one does not have a vertex of negative 2, so this one is wrong. I'm going to go ahead and put the next one, and I like to leave them there, but for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and just take them out. Negative x squared minus 2, and it gives me negative 2. It doesn't pass through negative 2, so this one is wrong. So most likely this is the correct answer, but let's check it. And this would be negative x squared positive 2x. And again, this does not give me a correct answer. So what does that mean? I inputted it incorrectly. You see how I put the extra x? And there it is. It switches it correctly. So once again, you got to check your inputting. And that is the correct answer. It passes 0, 2. And I look at it, and it also passes 0, 2. Once again, if you don't know what 0, 2 is, all you have to do is input it on Desmos, 0, 2, and it inputs it for us. And if I want to label it, it even labels it for us. So I can double check that there's 0, 2. I have another check, and that is the correct answer, letter J. If I look at the next one is telling us the zeros. Remember, the zeros are your x-intercepts. And all I have to do is plot this right here, and that gives us our zeros. So let me go ahead and input. So then I'm going to input 3, open parentheses, x minus 5, close parentheses, open parentheses, x plus 7, close parentheses. Almost forgot my 7. I don't want to forget that 7. Close parentheses, and then I have my U shape and I have my 0. So I have to maneuver the graph to make sure that I get my decimals correctly. That's too big. I'm looking for my zeros to be 5, 0 and negative 7, 0. And automatically my zeros are this. These are wrong. These are wrong. So it can only be C and D. My 0 is negative 7 and 5. Negative 7 and 5 is this one and this one. The answer choice is letter C. Once again, the X is my zeros, and that is correct. So 57 is C. If I look at 58 and 59, that is another copycat of the other problems. We got to note that it is a linear. We're looking for a 0, negative 2, and a y-intercept of 6. So first of all, my x-intercept is 2. And I remember my x-intercept is 2. This one is wrong. Remember, I'm looking for a 0, negative 2. That one is wrong. If I look at my next one, the x is negative 2 right here. This one is wrong. Then I'm going to look at G, and my 0 is negative 2. That is correct. And I look at negative 2, and that is wrong. So automatically I eliminate by looking at the zeros, this one, and this one. The correct answer choice is G. But I want to make sure that I get 100%. So then again, my y-intercept is 6. My y-intercept is 6 right here. And my y-intercept is 6. So that's a double check. So it is letter G. If I look at 59, 59 is a repeat of the one that I did before. So then I might want to try this one. And remember that our parent function right here is the x squared. And that is put in number 1. And what are they? And the vertex is 0, 0. And then they're going to create by doing this to the function. So they're going to do x plus 8.7. So my second one would be x plus 8.7. And then I do the quantity square, because remember that x squared is there. So I have my two functions, and all I do is all they're asking for is the vertex of G. So the vertex of G, looking at that one, the vertex of G is this one. So all I do is input this one into Desmos, let Desmos do the work. Quantity square, and here's my vertex. My vertex is negative 8.7, 0. I'm looking at that one, negative 8.7, 0. And the only answer choice is letter D. You want to read it again, you want to try it, you can go ahead and try it on yourself. Remember that the line graph of the coordinate grid, which statement is true, so remember that a line like this would be a positive, it's positive, then a line like this would be a negative, and then if you have a line, a straight line like this, you're walking, that's zero fun, and then the duck falls off the cliff, and the duck falls off the cliff, and that is an undefined. And I'm going to show you a trick on how to do this one. So once again, this is an undefined. Undefined, it has to be that one. Now we look at the graph, and let me erase that straight line. We look at the graph, and the graph passes through. If you look at this x, it passes through. X is negative 4. X is negative 4 is the correct answer. The correct answer is answer choice letter A. But I want to show you how to do a different version. So if I want to put this, and I have my x and y coordinates. -4, 0 is an x. And I pick any of the other coordinates, and I try this one right here, and it gives you -4, 3. And then Desmos likes to lie to you on this one, but I'm going to go ahead and input it into a table format. And I'm going to go ahead and input -4, 3. And it doesn't matter which order you put it in. And I put -4, 0. And I go ahead and push my leaf. And again, look at how it lies to you. It doesn't give me my correct graph. It gives me a different slope. But again, look what it says right here. It says R is undefined. So the regression of this gives you R is undefined. You can get undefined, undefined, and then all of a sudden you just now have these. You have x equals to 4. This one is wrong, this one is wrong. Or y equals to -4, and you see where the line passes through, and it passes through -4 is your x value, and the answer choice is letter A. So once again, even Desmos kind of throws it out at you that the regression is undefined. So that is a good way to do this problem. If you look at this one is an interesting one because we do a railroad track and they're asking for which is a solution, which is an answer. So I do my railroad track and I try this one, and it has to be equal. So this one I would say you can go ahead and put everything into Desmos. You do this side. This one is a complicated one, but is also easy because remember you're trying every single one of these. And then you're inputting them in place of the W's right here and right here. And you got to input this one in number 1, and you put this one in number 2. And then you go ahead and input and find out which one is the right answer. So I'm going to input the first one, and then if you look at how I input the first one, it's going to make it super easy. 7 times -26, and I forgot my minus, so I got to do 7 times -26 divided by 9. And then I got to do my space. I'm going to put my space there. And then I'm going to do -2, open parentheses. W is -26 divided by 9. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my space so I can get it right there. And I'm going to put -9. Close parentheses, and remember I in place the W, I'm going to put -26. And then I'm going to put my second one here, and this is 4 minus 8, open parentheses. I'm going to go ahead and put W right here. So then the W gives us our, pretty much it gives us our answer. So then W, it's -26. Divided by 9, then +2, and they're not equal. So then let me check to make sure that I inputted it correctly, and that is wrong because in order for it to be a solution, it has to be equal. So then all I have to do is replace this one with the next one, and then I'm going to go ahead and try. I'll put 10 here, 9, and I'm going to replace the -26 with 10, and then I'm going to put the -26 with 10. So then automatically I know this one is wrong because it doesn't have any quality. So then I'm going to replace this one with 30 over 13. So then I'm going to delete 30 over 13. Delete 30 over 13. And then I delete, and that's going to be 30 over 13. And now they are equal. So that is our answer, letter C. I didn't even have to try D, but if you want to try letter D, you can. And something that one of my students or two of my students taught me from the morning and afternoon is that you can input this into Desmos, replacing the x's, and you can input this one into Desmos, replacing the x's. And then you get your solution set. So that I can replace 7x minus 2. And I think this is an easier way to do this one. X minus 9, close, and that is my first one. And then I can replace this with the next one, and I go 4 minus 8, open parentheses, x positive 2, close parentheses, and then I have my x and I have my y. So then all I have to do is input these into fractions, and let me go ahead and erase these so you can see them. You can input this ones into decimals and find out if it does give you the correct answer. So then I'm looking for this one right here. When I do this, I'm looking for the x is negative 2.30. So I want to input the first one, and I'm going to input negative 26. Whoops, wrong one. I got to replace it. This was, I almost put in the wrong one right there, and it's negative 26 divided by 9. Negative 2.8, does it give me an x value? Nope, not even close. And then I know this one is wrong already. So this one is wrong. I want to input this one, and I'm going to go ahead and input negative 30 divided by 13. And negative 2.30, and I look at this one, negative 2.30, there's my answer, and my answer choice is letter D. And not only did I single check it, I double checked it. So that is number 61. If you look at number 62, we're looking for an x value, a domain and range. X is greater than 5 and y is less than 2. So now I look at for my x value of x, it's got to be greater than 5. So I look at 5, and this one could be correct. I look at this one and 5, this one could be correct. I look at this one and this one can be correct. And I look at this one and this one can be correct. So there's no way to learn this without checking the work. So I'm looking at x is greater than 5. So is x greater than 5? Nope, it's less than 5, so this one would be wrong. Then I look at this one, and is x greater than 5, which is greater than 5. This one would be wrong also. So I look at these both, x is greater than 5, yes, and this is x is greater than 5, yes. So now I look at the next one, y is less than 2. Y is less than 2 is, now I'm looking at my range, y is less than 2, and that is correct. And then this one, y is greater than 2. And that is wrong. So the correct answer choice for this one would be letter B. If I look at number 63, 63 is a factor. Remember that it has to pass through our x-intercepts. So what I would do is I would graph this one and find out which one passes through my x-intercepts or my so-called zeros. So x-intercept or 0. So I would input this one into Desmos. Let Desmos do the work for us. Minus 80. And there it is. It gives us our zeros. And our zeros are 8 and negative 2. So then I would just click every single one of these, and whichever one passes through the x-intercepts is our answers. That's all I have to do. So then I do x plus 4. It's close, and sometimes I have to enlarge the graph to make sure that it's not close. So that's my x-intercept. Does it pass through my x-intercepts? It does not. That is wrong. Then I take off the color, and I input the next one, x plus 8. Does it pass through my zeros? Does it pass through my x-intercepts? I want to see. Nope. It doesn't pass through my zeros or my x-intercepts, so this one is wrong. Then I go to my next one, I take this one off, and I input this one, and I go x minus 4. Doesn't pass through my 0, that one is wrong. And I'm going to take off the purple color, and I'm going to go ahead and put the last one, and most likely that one is right, x minus 8. And it passes straight through my 0, and that is my answer. So the answer to 63 factor has to pass through my x-intercept or my 0, my original function. If I look at 65, that is exactly a matching one. So all I'm going to do is input these into Desmos and let Desmos do the work for us. Remember, I'm looking for a function that has an x value of -4, comma 1. That is my vertex. If I look at that, that also has a maximum. It also has x-intercepts, -3, comma -5. So it has a lot of features. It has x-intercepts, it has my vertex, it has a lot of items. So with that, I should be able to get my answer. So let me reset my Desmos. Which function is the correct one? So all I'm going to do is input every single one of them. My first one is -x squared, minus 8x, and I'm looking at -15. And it has a -4 comma 0. I look at -4 comma 1, sorry. -4 comma 1, it's got my x-intercepts as -5 and -3, and that is a correct one. It's got my x-intercepts of -5 and -3. So most likely this is a correct one. So I want to check to make sure that it is a correct one. So then I check the next one. And the next one, if you look at it, it has, let me get the news out of the way. Let me get the news. The next one, I'm going to leave this one here, and then I'm going to do my next one. And the next one is -x squared, positive 8x, -15. And this one has a vertex of 4, 1. And if you look at the graph, and you look at this graph right here, it's kind of not the same because it has 4, 1 here. And it has my x-intercepts of 3 and 5. This has my x-intercepts of -5 and -3. So once again, this one is wrong. And if I input the rest, they should be wrong. So let me go ahead and input one more, x squared. On the test, I would recommend for you to input every single one of them because this is an easy one. Now we have a vertex with a parabola with our minimum, and this does not have a minimum. This has a maximum, so automatically this would be wrong, and most likely this would be wrong. Remember the h of x, you don't have to worry about it, and it is letter A. If you look at the next one, what solutions to the equation, and they give you an equation, and they say, well, which one is equal to 25? So all I would do is input this into the x value here and get the right answer. So let's go ahead and input, and I'm going to open parentheses, 2 times, what is the x? The x right here is -5. So all I have to do is input -5 in place of x. So it's going to be -5 plus 1, close parentheses, and it has to equal to 25. Does it equal to? So there's not a right answer. So then I input the next one, and all I have to do is input every single one of them. Put 3, -5. Oh, and I forgot my square, sorry. Almost forgot my square. There it is, right answer. So the first answer I would drag and drop, and I want to recheck my first one to make sure that it is not. So I have this one as being correct, and then I try -5 one more time because I almost forgot my square. So then that's very important for me to check it. -5 is 81, so automatically it is wrong. So then I want to check the second one. -2, 2 times -2 plus 1, and then the square, and that gives me a 9. So automatically this one is wrong. And then I want to check 2. So instead of putting this x, I'm going to put 2. And that gives me a 25. That gives me our second answer. So my second answer, I would just drag and drop, and that would be the answer. So next one, which expression is equivalent to 6x squared plus 3x minus 9? So then this one, we just do the method that we learned, is 2x squared, 6x squared plus 3x, and then minus 9. Gives me my U shape. And then all I have to do is input every single one of them and get me the correct answer. So I would input the first one, -3, open parentheses, 2x squared, positive x, positive 3. Question, looks like not the right one because they got to be right on top of each other. So let me make sure I inputted it correctly. 2x plus 3, and let me make sure I inputted the first one correctly, plus 3x minus 9. That's wrong. So then I'm going to get rid of this color, and I'm going to go ahead and input the next one. So it's going to be 3, open parentheses, 2x squared, positive x minus 3, close parentheses. And it looks like we have another winner. So again, I look at that, take it off, it should be identical, and that is one of our answers. So then I have my one answer. I want to get rid of, I can even leave it on there if I want to because they're identical. So I'm going to do 3, open parentheses, 2x minus 3, close parentheses, open parentheses, x plus 1, close parentheses, and automatically I know my green is false because it doesn't overlap with every single one of them. So this one is wrong. Then I go to my next one and I input, and remember I'm looking for it to overlap. So I'm going to go ahead and input 2x positive 3, close, open, x minus 1, close, and it looks like we have another winner. So let's just make sure. I want to zoom in and zoom out to make sure it is the correct one. I want to make sure I take off this one, and check that that is correct with the one I got. And it is. And then I want to check that my parent function is correct, and it is. And so my answer choice is this one and this one. And if I want to input that one and check it, then I can go ahead and check it. If I look at number 68, and I want you to look at number 68, and the question is, which graph, we don't have to do decimals, which graph represents one that has no real zeros? What does that mean? That it doesn't pass through my x-intercept. So I look at the first one. Does it pass through any of my x-intercepts? No. So this one does not have no zeros. So this is a correct answer. If I look at my next one, and I want to look at my next one, does that one have no real zeros? That is false because it has 1 0. So this one has 1 0. This would be wrong if they would ask you which one has 1 0. This is the one that has 1 0. If I look at this one, does it have 1 0? That is false because it has 2 zeros, or 2 x-intercepts. So this one would be false. And the last one has only 1 0, or 1 x-intercept. So this one would be false. So the question at hand, which graph best represents a quadratic function that has no real zeros? This one is the only one that has no real zeros. Why? Because it never passes through my x, and it doesn't have my x-intercept. So that one is a good one. If I look at 69, the counselor asks the college how many hours and everything is based on the correlation coefficient for the graph, what type of linear association? So we're looking at whether it's a strong negative or a weak negative, weak positive, or a strong positive. So if you look at this graph, it's not as easy as it looks because the numbers are all out of order. So my recommendation for this one is to order the numbers from least to greatest. So remember, I have to keep the pairs. So my first one is 12 with the hours. I'm going to put hours worked. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the next one is overall grade average. So 12 goes with 94. Look at my next one. My next one is 15. So 15 goes with 86. So I know it's going to be negative. 16 goes with 87. It goes a little higher. And then I look at my next one. My next one is going to be 20. 20 goes with 90. It goes higher. And then I look at my next one. And then 25 goes with 83. Then I look at my next one, 27 goes with 77, so it takes another drop, and 30 goes with 72. So if I look at my overall grade average, it goes negative, then a little positive, then a little bit positive here, positive, positive, then negative, negative, and it drops negative, and it drops even more negative, and it drops even more negative. So what I would say is it a negative or positive? It will be a negative. Automatically, I can get 50% right, but I want to get the 100% right. So I want to see the correlation. And if I want to input this into table, and it gives me a correlation factor in the R, but by looking at it, I believe it is a strong negative. Because if it was a weak negative, it would be like 94, then it goes down 93, then 92.5, then 92. So this is a strong negative. And the last problem that we're going to do, and this one is a very interesting problem, so I would recommend because it has a lot of domain, it has a lot of range. So the domain is your X and my range is my Y. So now if I look at my domain here, the X is 2 and it goes all the way to 5, and I circle those. And my range is my 1 and it goes all the way to 8. So now they want 2 true statements about domain and range. So if I look at every single one, my domain is a set of all real numbers greater than 1 and less than 8. So I'm going to look at my domain. Is my domain 1 and 8? My domain is not 1 and 8. It is 2 and 5. So the only one that is correct is this one. And that is one answer right there. Is my domain set of all real numbers? That is incorrect because my domain has a stopping point. If it had arrows, then it would be all real numbers. So this one is wrong. This one is wrong. Now I look at my range. My range is 1 to 8 or 2 to 5. I look at my range, and my range is actually 1 to 8, and that gives me 1 to 8. This one would be wrong. So the only answer choice will be, the first would be this one, number 2, and number 4. And once again, you have to look at the graph. And by looking at the graph, and I'm going to clear it, and I'm going to enlarge it, the graph or domain would be anywhere between 2 and 5. And in green, I'm going to go ahead and put my range. My range is 1 and goes all the way to 8. And remember, the keyword is domain is X, and it's not a keyword, it's a key letter. And my range is Y. So also in alphabetical order, D comes before X, and D is X, and range is Y. So X comes before Y, and that can also be written as domain and range like that. So then you can know that it's in alphabetical order. I hope this has helped you, and I want to wish you the best of luck because that's all I'm going to do. 1 through 70 are good problems for you to be able to get a quick win, for you to get at least a 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, or 100% on the STAAR test, end of course. So amazing. You did amazing work. So keep up the great work. And once again, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. So I hope this review has helped.